course. Wake the dead.
Wake the dead! Wake the dead!
With Sean McCann.
Voluntaryist Academy is an educational platform dedicated to the principles of non-aggression, self-ownership, and the ethical philosophy of voluntarism. Here, we reject the mythology of political authority and embrace the timeless truth that all human interactions should be grounded in consent and moral integrity. Through rigorous study, in-depth courses, and accessible materials, Voluntaryist Academy equips individuals with the tools to critically examine the foundations of coercive systems and replace them with voluntary, peaceful alternatives rooted in natural law. Whether you are new to these ideas or looking to deepen your understanding, Voluntaryist Academy provides a structured path to intellectual freedom, ethical consistency, and personal sovereignty. Welcome. Explore the curriculum, challenge false assumptions, learn to live free. Tonight is part 2 of Voluntarist Parenting in the New World Order. Part 1 was hosted by Sean McCann, and he's joining me tonight as the guest. And this is like a mini series that he and I are kind of swapping back and forth the hosting responsibilities. Last time we talked about a little bit about the school system. We talked a little bit about ADHD, and I suggest people go check out part 1 and catch up. So, welcome to Voluntaryist Academy for the first time, really. You've never been a guest, quote unquote guest on Voluntarist Academy, Sean. For those people in the audience that aren't familiar with Sean is one of my oldest and greatest friends like ever. We've known each other for 20 plus years. We go way back, and a lot of our individual success has probably stemmed from our private relationship and the amount of encouragement that we give each other. And it's a very valuable friendship indeed. And it could, I could go on and butter the guy up, but let me introduce Sean McCann from Wake the Dead, his podcast, Wake the Dead. So Sean, welcome. Finally.
It's an honor. It's, I have been on your show before, but it wasn't Voluntarist Academy. And I was with Jennifer, and we were talking about the same subject, but it was years ago. And I'm glad that we're talking about it again. And we're focusing on the sovereignty part of it. And I guess you didn't really talk about the topic yet, but it's an honor to be here, James. And I'm so glad to be your friend. Likewise, it is, it's great to be able to call you and talk to you, and, while you're driving your truck and I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, it's really great. And, you're my brother, so I'm glad to be here, and thank you.
Yeah, the feeling's mutual, man. So tonight's topic is a little bit of, it's a heavy topic. A lot of people shy away from this topic, and I'm kind of building up to it because I want people on the edge of their seats, and you're right. You and Jennifer were on with me during my Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth days. And you and I also, for those who really don't know, we co-hosted a podcast together called Black Pill Digest. And so, so tonight's topic, it needs to be discussed. And it's not until the conversation gets started on this topic that we can really make change happen in the real world. This is one of the more archaic, barbaric practices done to young men. And I'll just come right out and say it. Tonight we're talking about circumcision. And Sean is an intactivist, and he has turned me around, and so am I. And so this is a subject that he and I really have a passion for. It's not something I talk about on air a lot. but if the topic comes up. So the basic premise is that a circumcision well, maybe I should let Sean take it away. I think you guys know Voluntaryist Academy, what I might say about it, but let's hear from Sean.
Well, so I'm a voluntarist as well. I guess you could say that. I'm wearing the anarchy A. This is my design. So I call myself an anarchist. I go old school with it, but I like the voluntarist word. It's great. So I fully believe that I own my body and you own yours, and I'm not allowed to do with yours unless you say it's okay. Like you said in the opening, you got to have people's permission before you start mutilating their body. So the practice of routine infant circumcision, as they call it, is the mutilation of helpless individuals who can't say no. So that is a huge violation of our sovereignty and our natural human rights as a person. Someone stole part of my body away. They held me down and they cut away part of me that's supposed to be there. And I did not consent. But somebody else who doesn't know any better did consent, as if they owned my body. That whole my body, my choice thing that people used to harp on a long time ago. So if the penis does not belong to the mother or the father, it's the baby's. And I'm here to speak up for the babies, because they should be allowed to keep the body they were given to by God. And then if they choose to cut it up or do something, tattoo it or get weird earplugs or cut off part of their genitalia, they can do so when they get old enough to know what's going on and be able to choose with their frontal lobe intact, that whole thing. A baby does not have even an identity yet. It's like still its brain is like not formed. And that shock of trauma, the pain, it changes the brain and it changes the way it grows. And it's an attack, basically like how the first episode was. The drugs are like an attack on the child's natural brain, and it's trying to damage. And so that's what they're doing with the circumcision as well. They try to damage natural, healthy children. And kind of like Harrison Bergeron, that short story there where everybody has to wear handicap stuff. Like nobody can be spectacular. Everybody has to be cut down into so they're all equally. Anyway, yeah, it's ancient. And it's barbaric, yes. And it's total domination of another person. Nobody asks for that. I mean, I guess Kinsey did it to himself with a pocket knife, but some people might ask for that. But anyway, a baby does not ask for that. Okay. And a baby cannot consent. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
If I may, you just said,
please. Yeah. Dude, I'll go on and on.
You just said consent.
Yeah.
So I think it would be appropriate to really nail down exactly what consent is. I don't mean to challenge the intelligence of anybody listening, or yours, Sean, for certain, certainly not yours, but just to be clear, consent is a fundamental principle essential to any voluntary interaction. It hinges on transparency, free will, and the absence of coercion, ensuring that individuals are respected and in control of their choices. Consent is the voluntary acceptance and agreement in sentiment in a given situation. It is rooted in individual autonomy, mutual agreement, and voluntary acceptance. It requires truthful communication and a lack of coercion and manipulation, distinct from persuasion. And the understanding the difference between manipulation and persuasion is not just essential, it's empowering. This equips individuals with the knowledge to make decisions without external influence, strengthening their autonomy and control. So when parents of newborns are consenting to this procedure, even though we act as stewards over our children and we want what's best for them, something like this, a parent really doesn't have the right to consent to this. There's plenty of things parents do have the right to consent to, but bodily manipulation or mutilation is at all times a violation of that little baby's natural law rights. Rights are granted because you exist. Privileges are earned, not rights. So when babies come into this world, they are already, it's like a computer or a video game, console that comes with a video game already, or it comes with a program already.
Yeah. Comes with a foreskin already.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, my dog, my cat, one of my cats does not like my dog. Anyways, so
I couldn't hear it, so that's okay. Keep rolling.
I think this is a really important kind of point to bring home here.
Yeah, dude, you're right. That is the essential key factor of why. I mean, if the baby had a brain and could choose to, a baby, dude, the only reason they do it to a baby is because the baby can't say no.
Well, yeah, for sure.
I mean, and it wouldn't exist if they waited. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to add that, like, if an adult male wants to do that, I mean, you're consenting to it. Exactly. You have the logical faculties. You have the mental faculties to consent.
Right.
I think
it doesn't even know what a penis is. It doesn't know what its body is. It's just feeling pain. Babies feel 3 times more pain than an adult. That's how the nerve endings work when they're babies. And everybody's like, oh, he cries when he's got a wet diaper. Same, whatever. And then he'll pass out from the pain because it's so horrendous. And the doctor's like, oh, he fell asleep. It's fine. No problem. It's just all lies, dude. It's so you can't have consent if it's all lies. So yeah, we can go there if you want, but still, yeah, the consent is the main key. Like, a baby can't consent, just like a 12-year-old can't consent to being raped by her uncle or some shit. A kid can't consent. They can't until they're 18. It's legal. That's the law of the man's law and shit. Somehow, I mean, okay, so circumcision is a sexual act. They have to manipulate the little boy. They have to get him hard in order to cut it. So it is the baby's first sexual act. And it's routine to do that. And it's trauma. And if a little girl is going to go walk the streets or something, that's as if she even tries to own her own body and try to go do something with it, make money or something. I mean, I guess that's illegal anyway, but still, a consenting, you can't consent. It's just not legally it's not legally possible, but somehow it's routine to basically, it's like sadomasochistic torture. We can get into that too if you want. But it's really like it's the people that are doing it derive pleasure from it a lot of times. And it's that whole domination, psychopathy, sadism, sickness, you know.
I think it might be. I think it might be. I think it might be beneficial to kind of go into the things that people don't realize what's being done with the foreskin and after it's been removed. And so I wanted to respond to what you said about, consenting and everything and the legality of all of it. So we've established that it's like in accordance to natural law, it's unlawful. It is unlawful.
Yeah.
It's a violation of that baby's natural law rights.
Right. We established that
but
first part. Right.
But when it's about legalities, of course it's legal because it's deemed a medical procedure.
But it's not. There is no benefit. They admit that. Okay. Well, let's keep talking. Sorry.
But that's the workaround.
Yeah. Well, it's just like how the Jews are a race. They're not a religion. Or when you get, like, oh, but you're a religion. No, we're not a religion. We're a race. Like that's their workaround. They just work around. Whatever. Just words are fluid. What? Yeah, sorry, never mind. But I mean, legit though, so okay, what were you saying? You wanted to talk about you wanted to talk about what they do with okay. So when they take it, the doctor gets like $200 to $400-$500, something like that. And but then they don't just throw it in the trash. There's medical companies that take that. And in order to make vaccines, they have to have foreskins. It's called fibroblast. It's this whatever. Like,
wait, so hold on. Fibroblast?
Yeah.
Is that an ingredient in
it's like what they vaccines? Make with foreskin. Yeah.
Okay, so and that ingredient that they put in the vaccines is made from severed foreskins.
Yeah, it's made from the torture of babies.
Right.
Yeah. So also medical, or not medical, but like cosmetic companies want it because there's some idea that it will help the skin like become stretchy, like a dick skin. Okay, it's funny. I know it's silly, but Ellen DeGenerate had the chick from Speed, what's her face?
She's like Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock was on Ellen DeGenerate's show. And she was talking about how, and Ellen was like, "Oh, tell us about your facial procedure, what you did." And she was like, "Oh, kind of didn't want to talk about it, but okay." And she talks about how she gets these little micro needles into her face that inject foreskin basically into her skin. And it's like causes like irritation or something, like inflammation, and makes her think she's pretty.
Well, what do you know?
It's sick. And Ellen was just like, oh, So there's two things that they do with it, and there's more. I mean, I'm sure there's like we could look it up if you want.
So there's a market, and it's created an incentive,
thousands of dollars for the foreskin. The doctor gets a couple hundred, but like there's a lot. There's a lot of money.
Yeah, and so with that, like with those kickbacks and the of course they're going to kind of try to influence and manipulate parents into thinking it's a medical procedure, and so
not medical. I mean, is piercing your ears a medical procedure?
Right.
No.
No.
So I don't know where people think that's, where they get that from.
They get it from the doctors.
Yeah, but the doctors were influenced by a crazy man, uh, John Jason, whatever, Kellogg, the guy who ran the sanitarium.
Oh, the dude from the cereal.
Yeah, that was his brother. Like him and his brother invented the cereal, and his brother went and made the cereal company, and then he like ran the sanitarium, and they would like give people like white toast and give them coffee enemas. They would just shoot coffee up their rectum. They thought it was healthy, make them run, like sweat, do all kinds of weird shit. Like very, very rich people would go, like Vanderbilt, or those, the magnates and shit would go there. He would have this like huge hospital that's all like fine. Anyway, he had like 80 adopted children. He never consummated the marriage with his wife because he's a Gnostic. He thinks
this is Kellogg.
Kellogg, yeah. He believes that this is like it's a sin to bring more souls into the world. So like, and he would like spend all his money on his like adopted kids, and so he thought that it would be a good idea to burn the clitoris of little baby girls with carbolic acid to destroy their sexual pleasure. And he encouraged the circumcision of little boys with no anesthesia, because then the pain would be associated with that part of his body, and so he wouldn't masturbate, because masturbation is like a bad thing apparently, and back then at least, and masturbation was the cause of all the sins. Oh, you're lazy, you masturbator. Oh, you robbed the bank, you masturbator. Oh, you cheated on your wife, you masturbator. It's like everybody, that's the reason. Oh, you're dumb, you can't read. Oh, you masturbate too much. Like, so basically, if you circumcise your kid, he'll grow up to be smart and healthy and not masturbate and like whatever. So they convinced the parents, and then it became like rich, it's expensive, and lots can go wrong. Like kids die all the time. But anyway, like we'll get into that later, I guess, if you want. But it became an expensive thing, and so like the Northeast and like Boston and New York and all that, there was a lot more circumcision, because that's where all the rich people were, and they would do that to their kids, and because they thought it was cleaner, so they were convinced, and then, but it was a status symbol too. Like the girls could know how rich you were by looking at your dong or whatever, and so like it was like a hypergamy factor too, like where the women would choose that, and then the dads would make the kid do it because they're denying that it's trauma, and so like it gets like in the Northeast, it's still a lot going. There's still, but in like the West and the Southwest, it's not really happening too much. Overall, it's like it's under 50 now. Officially, it's like under 50% are babies still being circumcised, but in America, but we're trying to smash that away. I mean, like it's illegal to do an unnecessary medical procedure on your child. And you said it's a medical procedure, right? So the law would, or the the legal factor, again, it's illegal to do that. And so I mean, there's people in like New York State that are like trying to, I mean, going hard. There's bloodstained men, like there's real activists out there that and if you use the actual laws that are there, you can protect children. But really all it takes is for moms to say no, so that's why I do this, talk about it all the time. That's why we're here, I guess.
I never considered the hypergamy aspect of it. That's interesting.
There's dudes.
For anyone that's not familiar with the term hypergamy, it's basically just marrying a spouse that is of a higher class or caste than you, as if to in an attempt to advance, like climb a ladder of social status through marriage. And I was not aware that that was part of the history of this procedure.
Yeah, well, in America at least, it became the fashion,
Yeah.
the Victorian era, but that, I mean, it was also fashionable to have a coffee enema and to eat only white toast. Like, I mean, what the people are crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, cereal itself is very unhealthy. Like, I eat the crap because like I'm like addicted to sugar, but I try to find one that doesn't have BHT in it. Good luck with that, But anyway, but cereal is very unhealthy. It's not like, but people think it's good and they get their total. Oh, it's fortified with vitamins and shit. Like, dude, eat real food. You know what I mean? Like, have real food. Anyway. They invented that to like fill up people's stomach on something that's not food. It's just like basically they had some weird. Kellogg was a crazy man, and I don't know why everybody like made him out to be a hero. Like, and people were silly back then. Anyway, so he thought that it would be great to destroy little boys and little girls' genitals because he had a vendetta against procreation. He thought it was wrong to bring children into the world because this place must be a hell and it's wrong to bring kids here because he's like some fucking Gnostic weirdo. I'm sorry for swearing. I won't do that again. But anyway, it's he's so that's where it started in America, and it's like it's still pushed, and the doctors that had it done, they're doing it to others. Like, they think it's right and good because it happened to them, and I couldn't have anything bad happen to me. Nothing bad happens to me. I'm great, And so like the blindness goes and it continues. And the fact that it's such torture makes it more blind. If it wasn't so torturous, kids would remember it, and but they don't. They can't, because just the same as with SRA people, people that are tortured with satanic ritual abuse, the torture is so much that it fragments and encapsulates and makes it hidden, so the front self can't remember that. Whoop, I don't know what are you talking about. It didn't happen to me. Like I'm a good person. Like I have good things, and and then like,
yeah.
So
well, I mean that and that in a very, very underdeveloped brain, of course.
Yeah.
But
like,
the body the body remembers. It remembers like trauma, and the nervous system stores data. It's just like, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I'm sure the listeners can kind of piece together what I'm trying to get at. It's like, like the fight or flight response is something that we come in with, and then like that's the first thing is like fight or flight,
right?
And then the brain develops
freeze.
From there
they've developed the third option of freeze.
Right,
like a deer in headlights.
The dissociative,
right. And that's induced, like it is given to babies because they're held down on a circumstraint board. They're tied down to a board, their arms and legs, and they can't move. And they scream, and they can't say, they say, that's them saying no, and they can't move or run. And so what do? They dissociate. They can't fight it and they can't run from it. So they have to separate their consciousness and try not to feel it and pass out, and the doctor's like, oh, he fell asleep.
Right.
It's not painful at all. Look, he fell asleep, and then he goes home and he bleeds out in his diaper and he's dead. You know what I mean? For nothing. Just people should just pierce the ears or something. Just pierce your kids' ears. Don't be chopping their genitals. What the fuck, man? And some women are like, I don't like an anteater dick. Oh, you don't like dicks, I guess. Okay. You shouldn't mutilate someone else's dick because of your preference of what you like sexually. You're gonna, I made that video for your shattering the illusion, and I had clips of these women that were trying to defend it, and it's so angering that talk about how oh, it must be really hard to pick the fuzz out of it when you
wasn't that on Donahue?
Oh, there was a piece of Donahue. There we got some Donahue clip. Yep.
Back in the late 80s, maybe early 90s.
Right. Yeah, we got some good Donahue clips in there.
Even Donahue, somebody goes, well, why not do it? And he's like, because it hurts.
That's right. And the mother who he was standing next to looked at him with evil eye. She's saying, she was in the middle of saying how she circumcised her sons. I didn't circumcise my daughters though. And everybody laughed because it is silly. Why would you abuse this one and not that one, but still. And then, because she wants Donahue to think it's good, like her. She wants to be reassured with her madness that her madness is correct. And she was pissed that the panel was mostly intactivists, Milos and these other people there's one guy that he had to have reconstructive surgery, and it was sick to listen to oh my God. It was anyway. So yeah, Donahue was trying to say way back when, hey, don't do that. But they did that to me. I'm not a Jew. I don't have, I'm not rich. What the hell, man? But the mind control got both of my parents. And so there's no negative signal. The baby gets cut and then is gone. See you later. And the baby's crying, no, but doctors don't listen to that. They're whatever, he cries, I don't care. And the parents and the doctor says to the parents, oh, he's gonna cry. Meh. And then the parents are okay. And then the baby's probably grows up all mutilated and messed up and botched. And no one ever says anything. So no one ever knows how many botches there are, It's every cut is a botch. And also I was just saying with the mothers who there's, some of them are oh, I can't believe, I don't know, you got to pick fuzz out of it. Ew, having a foreskin is gross because you got to care for the foreskin, but to deal with a baby who has just been mutilated, in order to the baby's gonna bleed like crazy, and they got this special K shot or whatever, to also vitamin K, to stop the bleeding. That's the only reason they do that shit. And so it will heal the skin that's still mobile will heal to the glands if the mother doesn't pull it down, retract. So every time she changes the diaper, she has to retract, and the baby's traumatized by the mother doing that. Cause every time you freaking change the diaper. And then they, like, and like we had a video of some mom who's like telling the camera, encouraging other moms, we got to do that, because you got to be a mom, you got to hurt them to take care of them, and she's talking about slathering Vaseline in the diaper and whatever. And then when the baby pees, the Vaseline makes the diaper just splash out, like it's just, and then she's like, whatever, that's what it is. But an intact baby, you just wipe it with a wet washcloth or wipey, like there is no, but mothers think that it's like, oh, it's so hard to care for an intact one. Ugh. Chop it, and then they had like days, like a week of like traumatizing their baby multiple times a day, because the scab like sticks to the glands and the head of the penis of the baby, and so you got to rip that loose every couple hours or whatever. Oh man, it's I can't, like, just thinking about it, it's traumatizing. But yeah, so where do you want to go from there, man?
Honestly, I don't even know.
Yeah, dude, it's just like the trauma, it's just like, oh, I mean, it's traumatizing for the mom, it's traumatizing for the kid, and the dad, like, so they take the baby into another room so the mom can't hear it. I mean, that's not informed consent right there, like the mom is not even allowed to like know what's happening. Go ahead.
Yeah, because if you overheard, then your natural instinct to protect would kick in, and you'd hopefully intervene. If your mind is working right, you'd want to intervene and stop it. And so it is very twisted, the way that the medical industrial complex, everything's an industrial complex, yeah. But, how the big pharma and how the hospitals and everything are doing all of the really like conniving things to kind of place this procedure in the culture.
Yeah.
And like it's been placed in the culture, like what you mentioned about women being unattracted to intact men, and I mean, I don't know about any of that, but
I've been on Facebook. I was on Facebook, I'll tell you, for years.
I'll tell you that I've seen like the clips that you're mentioning and everything like that. So yeah, like I've seen video footage of women complaining. So yeah, it's like it's a part of culture at that point, and
there's a lot of women that are complaining because they are with circumcised men and it hurts them.
Well, sure, there's a bunch of
they
subconscious,
bleed and really, like it's better for the female to have an intact penis. It hurts a lot of women. They can't even be with their husbands because it hurts them. There's all kind, dude, you should watch those videos too. That's around.
Well, we're not here trying to talk about like marriage, though. We're trying to talk about a little bit of parenting here,
right? So, but still, if the kid, you don't want your kid to grow up to have the pain of like the woman that he loves, he's causing pain by like trying to make love. Like you don't want your kid to grow up and have that situation. And then like his wife has to stay with that and deal with the pain to be with your son, like crazy. But anyway, what you mentioned earlier is really important about, the natural instinct. If you hear that baby cry, you would stop it if you're human. Okay. So that's why the ancient practice, I mean, one of the reasons, if some mother will give her baby to the cult to be thrown into the fire of Moloch, or mutilated their genitalia or whatever else they do, you know, then that mother is fully enslaved. Okay. They have no will of their own. So, same thing with the father. If the father tells the mother, "Oh, I'm going to do," and in the old days, they circumcised with a sharp rock. I mean, it was not.
What do you mean old days?
Like, the Phoenicians and the Canaanites and, like, before Jesus type days, you know what I mean? Like, they would use a sharp rock basically. And that was, so when they were like throwing the babies into the fires of Moloch, that was one version of child sacrifice. And then later it changed into, the baby's genitals are just mutilated. So like the baby can't have babies. You know,
right?
What I
like,
mean?
okay, you don't got to give us the whole kid. We'll just,
right,
take a little bit off the top.
Right. And it's like a culling, we're just gonna mutilate their genitals so that they can't have. I mean, a lot of times the sharp rock will make the dick not workable, basically, or they die. But to overcome the instinct of protecting your baby, that's the kind of compliance that the dark occult requires. If you can sever your care enough, if you can cremate your care, if you will, enough to give your baby to the evil ones, then you might get a promotion. You might get some whatever the hell they do. But still, like, it's the same thing with the SRA families. They give their children to the higher ups to get a promotion.
But like nowadays, like, like the vast majority of parents are not doing this. Like, no, like they're not doing it for those purposes.
Well, the Jewish
the history aside,
yeah.
Like the majority of people are very ignorant to,
That's true.
Well, first of all, they're ignorant to the history of it. They're ignorant to the purpose of it. They're ignorant to, the backdoor deals and all the incentives and the kickbacks and all the medical industry purposes and the cosmetic purposes and all the things that you were mentioning earlier. So, like, yeah, Phoenicians, Canaanites, all that stuff, all that, 2,000, 4,000 years ago type stuff is interesting. And it is interesting. Trust me, I think it is. I'm sure a lot of other people would too. But this is about like voluntaryist parenting in the 21st century. And
I'm just saying
it is to understand that, like, when you're making decisions on behalf of your child, you're supposed to be doing it in the best interest of your child. And the fact is that the medical procedure of circumcision is not necessary at all. It is not necessary at all. Parents are being lied to and manipulated with pamphlets and a bunch of white lab coats and nurses and cultural conditioning into doing this to small babies who cannot say no. And it's completely unnecessary. And the only thing that anyone is doing by consenting for their child, on behalf of their child, for this procedure, the only real thing that they're doing is causing harm. They're initiating harm, and it's wrong.
Right.
It's straight up wrong.
Yeah. Do no harm, right? The doctors.
Exactly. And we're meant to protect our children from harm. Yeah. And it's like this weird. So why do it? Why put parents through all of that? And I think the answer is pretty simple, because doing that is the mark of a slave.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to understand the history of where it comes from, because honestly, like, I wanted to bring it back to the modern day, but also just, still keep a little bit of the history in there, because I think it would be pretty naive to think that an ancient order of, like, satanic blood cult sacrificial people couldn't find a way to kind of go underground and keep their traditions alive.
Yeah.
Like sort of like when like a restaurant's, starting to go under, they might change the name on the front,
Right.
rebrand a little
Yeah.
bit, like trick some people into coming back. It's a new menu, new name, same management, same boss, same owner.
Yeah, they changed the name of the
know.
Eugenics Society. I forget what it is now.
Molecular biology.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah.
And so in so doing, they've been able to trick people into thinking that the old way went away, but it didn't. The tradition lives on under a new
Same thing with Jesus. I mean, they were like, you don't have to sacrifice your kid anymore.
Right.
But then like, oh, well, God has to sacrifice his kid. Yeah. And we have to look at the bloody body and we have to drink his blood and eat his flesh.
Right.
But Jesus is all you need. All you need, guys. Jesus. But why do they do that to Jesus? Why can't it be Buddy Christ? Like, hey, thumbs up. Why does it have to be tortured, mutilated, traumatized child of God? Okay, that's why is that the core of the religion if somehow it's different? Why is it different? Like, anyway, yeah, so they still sacrifice their children when they wear their tiny hats, and they all go into the room together and they hear the baby cry and it's their family, and the dad holds the arms down and the grandpa holds the legs down, and it's they're giving their child to the monster that even eats the blood, the metzitza. They suck the blood, the pain infused blood from the baby's wound. So, and that it's like total compliance.
Does that happen 100% of the time?
If they ask for it, moils do that. Some moils, there's some moils that have herpes, and they give herpes to every kid they do that to, and the parents still let them go. Still, go ahead, yeah, It's sick, dude.
Well, it's important to understand that that it is intergenerational,
right? The parents request that.
Yeah. So
Jewish parents can not do it. There is like a ceremony where they don't cut. There is like this. Some Jews don't cut, and other Jews are like, "What? What? That's possible? They don't never even heard of it." But that's true. Like, people should, like, if there's Jewish listeners that are thinking of being parents, look into that, please. Like, there is a workaround,
Right, but no matter, like, again, and I can't stress this enough because of just how how unnecessary it is.
Right.
It does not matter where you come from, your ethnicity, your religious creed. None of that matters. What matters is bodily autonomy,
right,
and informed consent, right, and respect of another human's natural law rights, and that we're not going to go and violate those rights. So whether you're
Jesus is the wrong mascot for that.
Well, whether you're Christian, whether you're Jewish or Muslim or whatever, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the religions are there to divide people and bring them further away from source anyways. Right. So, and to tribalize people, and the traditions I understand are high and held in high regard and all that stuff. But, like, for real, people out there listening, you don't have to do it, and you shouldn't, because you shouldn't do it because it's gross.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gross. At
it
the end
is
of the day,
gross.
It's just gross. And like and if a child like if it's really going to affect their life, like why not wait until they're old enough to understand what it is, and when they go through the pain, like they know that they know why, and they can kind of reason with it. Like the thing is, like little babies can't reason. Anyone out there that doesn't have children, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Babies do not reason with anything until
you can try, but you'll be going in circles yelling like
they don't. So and it doesn't even kick in really until until a handful of years later, where you can actually start reasoning with a child. And so and so like the really the really big point that needs to be driven home with this and I'm going to say, it has nothing to do with ethnic background or religious creed, really, because we're all human beings.
Right. Yeah.
Jinx.
You got me.
We're all humans.
Yeah.
So,
dude.
And the natural function of any and every human being is to critically think, is to think, and that also critically thinking means that you're thinking for oneself, you're questioning authority, you're pushing boundaries, you're discovering things, and you're making you're making your individuality known. Like this is the natural function of human beings. So when we start going against that, like that's another way of looking at natural law. How does natural law apply to human beings? Well, I just kind of laid that out a little bit. And when we start going against that, when we're starting to violate, like we're really going against natural law.
It's purely satanic when it goes totally against the natural law. It's like full on satanic.
Right. Inversion of the, exactly. So, and so, yeah, I mean, when we're talking about this, it's not right, because we're all human, then there's a baseline there where where we all have the same rights, because we all have the same natural function, we have all the same natural purpose, and everything.
But babies, but babies function differently. Like their brains, like you were saying, is different, but their anatomy, their penis is different. Their foreskin is fused to the glands. The prepuce is like it's held on like a fingernail. And there's extra torture. Not only does it cause 3 times more pain, like babies feel 3 times more pain, but they have to rip that and tear that from the glands. So like there's even if you let the kid grow to be 12 or whatever and let him decide, that won't even be, I mean, because it's like a hymen. It goes away eventually, like it detaches, but just to tear that is like even more like unnecessary craziness. Like, but yeah, dude, we own our bodies. I mean, what the hell? Like to let your body be mutilated in that way is the most amount of pain. Like that's the most amount of pain you can feel. And it deadens the most amount of nerves. It takes away the most amount of nerves in the smallest amount of, but on a baby, it's small, but an adult foreskin is like freaking 12 inches square. Like, it's crazy. But that, people don't realize that everybody's like, oh, I got a big dick. My dick's big. Oh, look, I think my dick's pretty big. Oh, they're all worried about how big their dick is because they realize subconsciously that like half of it has been removed. Legit, like just about half of the skin is removed. So like, everybody, they're like, my dick, blah, 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 blah. It's probably because psychologically they know that their dick is lacking and they actually can't please a woman like they should. And, so they have to be more manly and dominant. And plus, like, they've been dominated. So, like, they understand that's how the world works. So they got to go dominate others, If you're going to teach a kid to understand natural law rights, it would kind of behoove you to not violate their natural law rights. And, you can't hit girls but we can hold you down and cut off part of your penis because,
Right.
Tradition,
Well, yeah,
right?
because it's logically consistent.
Of course, because all parents are logically consistent in that way.
And that's what I was kind of getting at is like,
Right.
because we're all human here, and we all share that same natural function. This is where the objective morality comes from. This is what makes it. It is wrong. It is wrong, no matter who is doing it, because that is that individual's property.
Right. Yeah. Property. Right.
And you've been tricked, you've been tricked as a parent into thinking that you have the right to consent for that. And that's what the New World Order is doing. That's what the New World Order is doing. They're tricking parents into consenting to horrific things that are completely unnecessary and mess with the hardwiring of the brain and the untapped potential of that little baby's development in the brain. And it kind of crosses some wires there with that trauma.
Right.
And I think that I mean, I don't mean it in a positive way, but it's an incredible amount of trauma. It's horrifically incredible, the amount of trauma that goes through, the pain. Oh my gosh. And they'll tell you oh no, the babies don't feel pain that way. And it's like, no, that's bullshit. They
used to do open heart surgery on babies because they believed that they didn't have pain.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so
no anesthesia.
So I guess what I'm getting at is that, when we see in modern times, and we see in the modern day the heightened levels of aggression.
Yeah.
And by that I mean
dominance,
violent crime being committed by a lot of different, it doesn't matter the demographic. Males are committing a lot of crime, and males have a lot of aggressive mental disorders that result in aggressive behavior. Hell, even our topic last time, ADHD being so prominent in boys, could very well be because of the trauma of circumcision doing something to their brains and just crossing wires through that trauma and stunting the development or shifting the natural development,
changing it, right? Changing it, right?
And so, I mean, I'm not a neurologist or anything like that, but I'm a dad,
right?
I'm a man myself, and I kind of I admitted last time that the ADHD, all that stuff affected me personally.
Right.
And I can't help but think because, is it due to the circumcision? I can't help but think,
I wonder why I yell so much and get so aggro about stuff like that. And it's I'm usually normally a mellow person, why do I?
Right.
So, I mean, I don't hit people and I don't
no,
but I get very rah, and I stand firm and I yell and and I shouldn't be doing that. And sometimes I guess it's important, but still, I look at myself too. I wonder, and I wonder why, I have trouble bonding with people and why, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? But I'm sure that I'm different. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
I can't look at scissors without being scared. It's fucked up. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know.
I'm not actually scared, but but yeah, some people are affected differently. There's sometimes I'll get in my head like the thought that my glands will be chopped off. Like the tip will, I don't know where that comes from. And like I have to not think that, I'm like I have like a aversion to like knives and scissors and shit.
Did you think that way before you did all the research into the
Yeah,
topic?
yeah, I did.
You did.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. There was one of my ex-girlfriends was talking about how like it was really sick, but she was talking about this like weird S&M dude who like chopped his own wang in half, it's like split the hot dog, and then like stapled it to a stool and
All
shit.
right, all right.
She's talking about that, and I'm like, it traumatizes me because I can't just be like, haha, because I have been mutilated, you know what I mean? And like, so like I've had trouble, when I did the show I did the 21st episode of my show, and I was putting it off. I was trying to get Jennifer to be there, but 21 episodes, like, I'm talking about it, damn it. And I tried to talk, but I like after about an hour, I was just yelling into the camera, just rah, and like my fingers were going numb, and like I couldn't bend my fingers, like I don't know if you ever done like too much uppers and nitrous or whatever. Like when you like, I just couldn't. I was like, I was shaking, like it was affecting me just because I was talking about it, and that has gotten better. It is like I'm not as yelly about it. My fingers aren't numb anymore, but people avoid that because they don't want that. It happens to some people like, I don't know, maybe I'm more, I don't know, but some people, they just don't think that. Oh, you won't think that. Nope. But it's I'm reminded like every day, and it's not like because I do this research or whatever. It's like I looked into it because I want to understand the satanic, like it is satanic, and I recognize it as satanic, and like so I want to understand where it came from and what it is and why people do it and how, because it's rooted in mind control and trauma, and so it's kind of like what I probably one of the reasons why I talk about that stuff on my show is because like I've been mutilated and I've been traumatized. You know what I mean? Like it's probably why I talk about SRA all the time when I would have SRA people on, victims or survivors. Um, because like really, I mean, I know it's not the same, but it's it does the same effect on the brain, that amount of trauma, and like um and then the occultation of yourself happens then, like so like when I'm trying to do shadow work, right, and trying to understand myself, to know thyself, I have to look and like, why do I yell like that? Why am I so angry about this? And why, um, so like that, it's part, if you want to do, like, if you really want to know yourself, then you got to look at it, and you got to like, some people aren't going to be like have aversion to scissors, but I think it's important that men, even men that aren't going to have babies, they still need to know this information to understand themselves, to I mean, now that you've thought about it, then you question how it relates to your ADHD situation and that whole drugging thing. It gave you that insight to look into yourself and to understand more, so it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It is important to to consider these things. It's just I don't know. It's just interesting to hear the effect that it's had on you, because I don't know where. Hold on a second. A cough button. Thank God.
Sweet.
I don't know where like where that might come from. It's a unique thing to you, and it's interesting to hear your perspective and your experience about this.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it, I guess. I'm here talking to you and a camera. Could
Right.
be millions of people could click on it and be like, "Oh, he's got a weird brain," But I don't mind. Whatever. I'm a human. They probably got weird brains too.
Well, it gets to the very least, it gets a conversation started,
Right.
about the different effects on a person that this trauma could have, because like this isn't a joke. It's not like Sean and I here are like crying in our milk about everything's trauma. Not
This
like
one
somebody
thing
like,
is trauma, though. This
like
one
this
thing.
is serious. This is
Yeah,
like a
right.
serious thing. Like this isn't like somebody said mean words to me at work today, or like when I was bullied at school and like somebody was really mean and they gave me a wedgie. Like that's not this. This is like severe physical, mental trauma done to a baby who cannot say no.
Right.
And it's like, this is the type of stuff that people need to hear and understand and consider for themselves when they are in charge by law and by legality in charge of another little human being. And the doctors are like, so when is your circumcision? Like they just assume that
Right.
that's what you're going to do.
Right. He's got a penis. We got to mutilate it, right?
Right. I mean, you got to chop it. And so like, like chop, chop, chop. And so, and so, and it's, you don't get a pamphlet about why not to do it.
No.
In the doctor's office. You get pamphlets informing you of like why you should do it. They don't tell you
those
about
reasons are always shifting because there really isn't any evidence of the shit that they say. Yeah.
Right. And things get debunked.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, well, okay. Yeah, the science is telling us, and it's like a magic 8-ball.
Right. Oh, okay. So maybe he might masturbate. Okay, maybe it doesn't stop masturbation, but it's okay. It reduces penile cancer.
Now, is there any instance where the circumcision actually improves the quality of life or the healthy functioning of the male organ?
Not if they're a healthy organ. Not if it's a healthy normal one. If it's like if it
that's
if there's some
the question.
deformity or some shit like but sometimes people retract it when it's not supposed to, because I told you it's fused, right? Sometimes people are told to retract it, and then that can cause problems, and so then they have to go and circumcise because of that. So it should never be retracted. And
it might happen by accident.
Well, yeah, the kid will do it himself, like when he's ready,
Sure. But I was specifically just,
oh yeah, there's
preparing
only people, a normal healthy one, it will not improve anything. No, it does not help.
Yeah, there's rare instances where like it actually, might be necessary. I've heard of.
Sometimes like when they're growing, like
I just kind of want to prepare the listeners and like
right.
parents that that might listen to this and
their grandparents and stuff are going to be like, oh, you got to circumcise, and then they're going to give them all kinds of crap, lies and shit.
Well,
but it's good to have the defense.
The idea is that to be like to be open to the possibility that there could be a circumstance in which it is beneficial because of a birth defect, and perhaps like, not to out the guy or whatever, but a friend of mine was finding out about circumcision, and he this kid is like a goofy kid, and he actually had a birth defect on his penis, and the skin was used to fix it. So they took the foreskin.
Yeah,
they took the foreskin and basically gave a skin graft.
Oh,
and fixed his
good for him.
The rest of him.
That's good.
So at least he got to keep it.
That's good. It's good that it didn't get like grafted with like some other type of skin, because like dick skin is very, it's only dick skin. It's like you can't take stuff like elbow skin or something. Like it doesn't.
No.
So that makes sense.
So I don't know. It's like anything can happen out there, and people need to stay vigilant and understand that sometimes
Right.
sometimes there's.
Was he old enough to choose?
No, he was a baby.
He was a baby when they did that. Okay.
Yeah, he was a baby.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
his mother told us, because
Yeah.
anyways,
That
that's
must
all.
have been embarrassing for him when he was, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's everybody's different, but it doesn't mean that, so doctors are going to try to convince that it has to be done sometimes, and mothers or a doctor will retract it, and then the baby will have problems. And then the mother comes back, oh, it's something wrong with it. And then the doctor's like, wow, I got to cut it, So there's like different levels of, so like a lot of times the whole thing.
Does that happen often?
Yeah, really. Like pretty much the only story that I've ever heard said, I've never heard anything like the one that your friend, but it's always, oh, that person had like my grandfather. My mother told me, so this is like personal, and lots of people say this stuff, like, oh, he had a problem when he was like 12, and they had to circumcise because it was like all messed up because he retracted it when he was a baby. So like she thought, and she even told me, she was like, it was very painful. So I decided to do it to you when you're a baby. So to save you from the pain of it happening when you're 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense.
You know her too. Like you met her. She's so nice, but like she doesn't know, she's not thinking. Anyway, she's a nice lady. She'd be so nice enough to chop off part of your body to help you because she thinks it helps, So like, I'm not mad or anything, it might sound like it. But she was ignorant, and ignorance is where evil happens, right? Satanists use the ignorance to grease the wheels of their evil. If they want the babies to be tortured, they want that trauma to be blanket across all men so that all of them will react the way they want them to, the induced dissociation and the learned helplessness that it is, it hardwires the kid to be a slave. Like it's a mark of a slave. A slave will freeze, and a slave will allow someone else to be dominant over them, because torture, because so like it's like trauma-based mind control is like the most effective mind control. And so that's what they're doing, and they're putting it on everybody. Well, all the men anyway, because those are the they want to enhance the domination, like the way that a cop is. And it rah, rah, they're like that because someone else dominated over them, and so it's like this chain of trauma that just goes. And so like the Satanists want to create that trauma, they want that to be done, so the ignorance is, like with anything. Like, look at the news. I mean, it's all the lies, and the ignorance allows for the evil. That's what we talk about on our podcasts, and there's a lot of evil things, but this child sacrifice shit is like, we got to be done with that by now. I mean, what the hell, dude? Like, uh, anyway, yeah. So that's my stand on that right there.
Yeah, it is. I can't help but think at this point that I see it as a way to kind of clip the wings, if you will, of the men in society, because and the trauma-based mind control aspect of it really is the clipping of the wings. I don't think that, and that's a nice clean clip that people can put on their soundboards. I don't think, but I don't think that it. I don't think that the tyranny of government would have lasted this long if not for trauma-based mind control. And I think that this is the early, obviously the being done within hours of a male being born is the earliest instance of an act contributing to that individual's trauma-based mind control.
Right.
And to attack what could be what we've come to call the manhood of the individual is the most egregious attack that you could enact on a man, because it is
their identity is connected.
We also have the natural function of procreation.
Right.
And to go after that is to go after the very essence of being a man.
Yeah.
And so in so doing, they've been able to kind of, like we've already said before, make slaves. It's the mark of a slave. Trauma-based mind control. And yeah, and we
it severs from the mother.
We wouldn't have gone down the drain as far as we have as a society, perhaps if it weren't for the men in society kind of having this really deep-seated subconscious conscious understanding that something is just not right. And like the trauma has caused a real like deep seated understanding that there's something wrong with us.
Yeah.
And like you can't really quite place it. There's always something weird, like a piece is missing, because literally the piece is missing.
Yeah, dude.
And so you wander through life lost and aimless. And
right.
There's plenty of successful men, but like the measure of success, what can you really measure that with? Like for everyone. I mean, I tend to measure it with the amount of freedom that we have.
Yeah.
If you're going to have like some sort of measurement of success that you give to society as a whole, I guess it would be freedom.
Yeah.
The amount of freedom that we have. And if we keep doing these immoral acts, then the freedom doesn't increase.
Well, I'm not free to feel those feelings that I would have had if, But another important thing about the psychology is how it severs from the mother. And the mother is your most important bond. Like as a baby, you're still part of the mother, and then they tear you away, and then they hold you down. And mom doesn't say no. She's whatever, like, go ahead, strap him down. And then they give the baby back to the mom, and he's like, oh, like shell shock,
Right.
And then, they're trying to shove a boob in his mouth, and he doesn't latch. And then he just doesn't have the oxytocin with his mother, and like doesn't have the bonding from the get-go.
And this is because of the trauma.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then when he grows up, how's he gonna bond with anybody? How's he gonna like keep a woman?
Because,
like how's he?
The trust that you have in the world, you learn how to have that trust by learning it from the trust you form with your parents.
Right. And your mom is your most important relationship,
Right.
And even when you're getting to be an adult,
I hope so.
Like what I'm saying, like, it's just, a baby is still part of its mom. It's like, the umbilical cord is still connected for like a good amount of time, hopefully, after he's born, even like, and the mother should have skin to skin contact with the baby and not allow it to be brought to the freaking robe wearing priest who's gonna mutilate him or put him in the fire of Moloch. Like, what is she doing? Anyway, it's ignorance that causes that. And then, like, how's the baby gonna bond with an ignorant woman? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, it's a tough thing because of the bonding with humans is affected. And then when that, like, I grew up to hate humans, I was reading LaVey, and I was like talking to my friends about like humans are bad. You know what I mean? Like I was satanic. I fell into that. And I'm sure it's partly because I have problems bonding with humans, like I'm trying to get better, I guess, but still, like, I mean, there's reasons why I fell into Satanism, like the left brain thinking and like I didn't believe that love was real. I thought it was chemicals in your brain, like, like dopamine and shit. Like, I thought that was just people getting high from their own supply in their head, I was very nihilistic and like self-loathing, and anyway, I'm trying to get better. But I was put there, but by someone, by an act. It was not like I was just reading Nietzsche a lot or whatever, and just like, started like, it's not like that. It was imposed on me, I'm sorry, my phone made a noise. I forgot to mute it, but it was imposed on me against my will. Like, my brain was changed. Not only does my manhood not function properly, but my brain is different. And I did not ask for that shit. And my mom gave me all the hugs, but I still turned into this angry young man, like, I'm not young anymore, but I've aligned my anger into the podcast. Now I have like an outlet to, like, talk about stuff like injustice, and like sovereignty and things that really matter, like, I didn't have a voice before. I was just like hating myself and turning inward, but anyway, I don't mean to get into all that, but what I'm saying is that the hating myself and turning it inward, like, that might have not been happening. I don't know. I can't think like that. I think it's wrong for me to think like that. Like, I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to have
Yeah.
what I have, but still, like, I feel like I did not consent, and
Well,
now I have my voice, and I'm grown up.
I mean, it's not a far cry, to from the truth, to think that this, I mean, really, people need to understand the severity of this trauma going into a baby, because because it really does have a very, very, very horrible effect on that child's mental development. And there's people out there that'll be like, "Oh, I turned out fine. I turned out fine." But you'll never know, ever. It's been robbed from you. You'll never know how things would have been different if your rights weren't violated straight out the womb. Like you're just never going to know. So okay, you're an upstanding person, you contribute to society, you take good care of yourself, you have self-respect, you have a wife who loves you or a husband who loves you. Gay guys, whatever, you're cool too. And so, and you love your mom, you have a good family, you function, everything's great, but like, the fact is, if you were circumcised as a baby, you're just not all there. And your life was changed before you ever had a say. And the bot, like, it was a Gabor Mate has a book called The Body Keeps the Score.
Right.
And like, so to take from that title, yeah, it does. The body keeps score.
Totally.
And like, there's levels of trauma and stress. Some trauma, some stress you can't see. And it's been there for so long now. It's the baseline. And now
that's another reason why they do it as a baby, because you don't know if it's his personality or if it's because we did that to him or what. Keep going.
There is no telling. Precisely, Sean. There is no telling. This is why it's so important for parents to understand. And like, if you're gonna do it, we can't, dude. I want to stop you, but you have to stop you,
right?
And understand that, like, that's your little baby. That's your precious little son. And you don't have the right to fucking do that. You're hurting them. Why would you do that? Oh my God. Like,
yeah, a little piece of clarity right there. Like, I mean, we could argue all day, but like, really, what you just said there, like, why would you do that? Like, don't hurt people. Like, I mean, for real. Like, that's what it comes down to, for real. Just that sentiment right there. That's what everybody needs to have. And yes, we need to stop them. Yes, like, that's what we can only stop them with words. I mean,
that's what I mean. Like, I want them to stop them. I want them to be informed, so they don't even, they just say, no, thank you, please. We're not going to do that, because we are prepared we have the knowledge. We know how to take care of an intact little boy, and we know how to operate in the world. There's more resources available now in 2025, almost 2026, than ever before. So much so that they're even starting to make swimming trunks.
Dude, I cried when I first saw the mesh. Dude, I cried when I first saw the mesh. Didn't have mesh on the front. It was mesh on the back, but it was like a fine silk, smooth. Yeah.
Like smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Because little intact boys, the tip of their foreskin will get stuck in there, and then they pull the shorts down, and it's like, like,
right.
Yeah.
So we would have to cut the mesh out before, and now they're actually considerate. Like, they realize that the scales are tipping.
Is changing. Yes, dude. I got so emotional about that. I told my wife, she's like, yes, we both are the same. Like, oh, that is like a barometer. It's showing us that, like when Walmart started having like organic food,
Right.
like because we changed with our dollar, because we changed with our consent. What we choose to allow is what they will do. Really, I mean, like the whole government shit, like we would not allow that. Like I don't understand why it's being allowed, but
Right.
anyway, like at
But
this
like,
point, but same thing. Go ahead.
yeah, and it's the change really starts with small decisions that have huge impact.
Right.
And the voting power of the dollar is more powerful than the voting power at the ballot box will ever be.
Yeah. Right.
And so,
Because they want dollars. I mean, what the
right,
hell?
they want
Like
their,
that's the system, right?
yeah.
The system is not go in the street and yell. Like, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You're supposed to be the one being interviewed.
No, it's I interrupt a lot, so like people should know that by now. But I was just adding to what you were saying.
No, I get it. I get it.
Right.
This is sort of like our typical phone calls.
yeah, really. Yeah.
But it is very important for people to understand, like, oh, it is your little baby, it's your little precious little son. Like I already said, all that great stuff.
Yeah,
But
like if we're gonna not harm somebody, we should start with our little
babies.
baby. Like it's our like we made this thing. We're gonna spend all these years raising it and giving it food and all this. You commit to all of this care for this thing that you love, but he doesn't need that. Ew, get it off of there. Ugh. Like mothers who don't like anteater dicks, as they're called, will chop their own baby because they don't want to be near one. They don't. They have an aversion to it. It is weird. It's weird. But then the same thing in Africa, where they mutilate little girls' genitalia. The mothers grow up to be like, or the women grow up to be like, oh, it's good. It's great. I'm glad it was done to me. Same thing with dads because of the trauma. Like it, yeah. So like that's just the effect that happens. Like, anyway, yeah, we don't need to go on and on about the trauma, but the sovereignty is the main thing that we're here to talk about. Like I guess I don't know if we got all the angles for that.
No, it is a topic that could be discussed for a long time. But I mean, for the purposes of a podcast, I think we've pretty much nailed it and hit a home run on this one, Sean.
Well, that's great, man. I agree. And yeah, it's every time I talk about it, it's different, and it's not just the same old. I'm not just saying these are the facts. These many babies bleed out and die. These many babies grow up to be, like have their penis fully removed. Like these many doctors get much money, I could do that, but I'm just talking like I'm talking to my friend right now. Like we're on the phone, like you're saying. So like really every time I talk about it, it's always different. It always just bubbles out. But I mean, I'm not afraid to share. It's like a lot of people like that's very personal topic. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to like talk about how their dick is mutilated and doesn't work properly, and how their brain is fucked up, like
it's even harder.
But that's what it takes to make a good podcast.
Well, it's hard. It's hard to admit too that like, it's hard to sit there and say, that your mom or your dad or made a bad decision on your behalf. It's really a difficult thing to come to terms with because I don't know, man. Like it's just very difficult for most people to understand it like that. I mean, it's a bad decision. It's a bad choice.
Totally. Yeah, there is no right.
Like
it's all
regardless
wrong.
of like, like the other stuff. It's like, it's even another layer to like have to admit that, your parents were ignorant and they got taken advantage of and like they were supposed to protect you and they made a mistake.
Right.
and you know,
And then when I look at them now, I know them better. I understand them more. I know why my mother watches TV and believes the politics, that whatever crap, and I know why my dad like drank a lot of alcohol. Like there's a lot that I learned a lot about them, and my mom was treated badly when she was a kid, like she wasn't circumcised, and my dad was treated real badly when he was a kid, like he was traumatized, and so I'm understanding more about them and how they became together, and of course they did that shit. I've got two older brothers too. Of course it did, all three of us, of course my mom would never like admit it's wrong. She never did. She was like, meh. Because if I bring up the subject, my dad finally understands it's wrong now, because he's like understands that it's wrong to cut a tail off a dog. And now it finally clicked in his brain because I'm talking about it all the time. And he knows that I do a podcast. I don't know if he listens, but, so it finally clicked and he's like 80, I'm glad it happened. He could have gone to the other side like she did and not fucking acknowledge, the truth. But it's not like I was just yelling at both of them, but I mean, I kind of a little bit. Anyway, I learned compassion for them because they were stunted in other ways. And that's why they found each other in their stuntedness. And that's why they didn't stay together, like, of course, all this shit. Like, the mutilation of my body is just a result of their ignorance, and so this war that we have to fight against ignorance will save the future, right? I mean, this knowledge destroys ignorance, and if you don't want to be ignorant, then you should say no and think about it, right? And then when you look and think a lot and really understand what it is, you're still going to be like, oh, I'm glad I said no. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just say yes to anything. I mean, that's the worst idea. I mean, oh, dude, that's how they get you. I mean, I say that all the time. But yeah.
Well, we should wrap it up.
Okay, good. I think we did. It was a home run. That was good. That was good.
So tell people where they can find you.
So I've got a show called Wake the Dead, and I can be found on Spotify and BitChute and Rumble and Odyssey and YouTube. And I also like, all the audio ones like Google and Apple and all that crap. And I have a store, I guess. This anarchist design is the oldest one. This is, it hit me like a strike of lightning. And you can get sweatshirts like these. It says authorities in illusion in Latin, and it's got the anarchy A above the pyramid. There is no rulers at the top. And the truth of reality, anarchy is anarchy is a reality, and authority is an illusion. Anyway, that's just one of I sell those on my store, and you can find that at onegreatworknetwork.com/Sean-McCann. And that's where I post all my shows too. I put all the links and stuff there. So if YouTube erases a show or Spotify erases a show, I've got 5 or 6 other links right there on that page. So you can just click on the next one, so that's why I post it everywhere. Because some of the shows do disappear, I did a couple about school shootings, and I did a bunch about the jabs, and there's not much on YouTube. But anyway, that's it. And I've got some other projects working, and hopefully real soon, I should have something that is fantastically awesome that I'm so friggin' proud of. And that will be birthed soon. I'm not going to say yet because I actually not perfect, and it's got to have a date. But anyway, it's happening, and so I'm pretty busy. But everybody should check out Wake the Dead, and they should also look at Black Pill Digest. What we did 8 episodes, and some of them were like 6-8 hour long, like
Yeah, they got up there.
crazy, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was fun. So like they should and those are in your list and my list as well. I'm not sure if you put them in the Voluntaryist Academy list, but they was on the list for your previous show. But they can find them on the Wake the Dead.
The people that enjoy my RSS feed.
There you go.
They get that, but
that's good.
But
so no, yeah, just scroll back a couple years and you'll find Black Pill Digest. It was pretty fun, and
just type it into it's on YouTube. It's on my Contra Narrative page on YouTube, where like you can find all the old Hitchhiker's Guide to Truth, Black Pill Digest,
great,
and everything on there.
That's good, because those black pills should not disappear. Those are good. Those are like the first one was about the jabs. The second one was about the schools. It's kind of like what we're doing here. These fundamental things that people need to know about, even though it's a black pill. Like, we were pretty good about it, and we brought some good guests, really good guests.
Yeah, man.
We had some good fun. It was good. So
yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I'm going to post this on my stuff. So tell my listeners where Voluntaryist Academy, your stuff.
So voluntarystacademy.com, and you can find everything there. Voluntaryist Academy on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your podcasts, you'll find my RSS feed. But you'd really probably want to come over to YouTube, because that's where I do the live streams for now.
Right.
Yeah. And so on Saturday nights, typically Saturday nights at about 9 p.m. Eastern, you'll find me going live. And I do like a weekly presentation of like some literature that I read aloud and give commentary on throughout the reading. I feature interviews, and sometimes I just kind of just do a little bit of a rant or whatever, or like maybe a reaction to a Facebook post, for instance. I did one of those recently. It was enjoyable.
Oh man, if I still had Facebook, I'd have so many topics. I'd be mad about everything.
This one was healthy. It wasn't like, look at this idiot.
I'm just saying. There's all the stuff is there.
A friend of mine was exploring an idea of and I was like, all right, well, let's make a podcast out of this. So I took his Facebook post and I kind of went through and I was like, all right, this is, anyway, so you can, it's all about like self-defense, and you can look that episode up. It's a good episode.
But you focus on the sovereignty and voluntarism, and the literature you're bringing is like fundamental works of voluntarist literature, right?
Yeah.
You're not just going to read Lord of the Rings.
You go over to the channel and check it out. You let me know.
Right. So I just want people to know what they're clicking before they click.
Yeah, just like the intro suggests, like we focus on natural law and the philosophy of voluntarism, and so I hope people find value in what I'm doing over there, because it's a labor of love. And if you find value in what I'm doing over there, like you can donate and consider signing up to be a member. Right now, I'm running a special for the first 30 people that sign up, $3 a month. And that's less than a cup of coffee. And people spend that much. People spend $5 a day on a cup of coffee. You could give me $3 a month, and you could come hang out in a Discord server. You could come into a live meeting that's not streamed. It's private, but like a town hall, like group, like powwow session where we can talk about the ideas discussed on the channel and figure out how to bring the philosophy into action and to try to figure out how do we apply this knowledge our day-to-day lives and to make our own experience in this place a little better. And I know how lonely it can kind of feel to, come to these realizations, and you want to kind of shout from the rooftops and it might fall on deaf ears. But if you want to be a part of the formation of a vibrant community of like-minded individuals that are focused on a culture of liberty and freedom, well, Voluntaryist Academy is for you. And I like to offer that to people. And I also offer for a premium price, the VIP price is like, I have had a very interesting life and I've overcome a lot of challenges. I'm not a licensed professional, but I do offer unmatched care and honesty to people that need that in their life, where maybe alcohol or drug addiction, or you just fell on hard times. But that's a skill set that I've developed over my entire almost 40 years of existence. And so I do one-on-one meetings, 1 hour bi-weekly, 1 hour one-on-one meetings with people, and and I only take on 10 clients at a time. So if you want to get in on that, then you can go check that out at the same place where you can sign up to be a member. And you can find the links for that at voluntarystacademy.com. You can become a sponsor. I call it being a sponsor. So that's my offer, and I hope people take me up on it, because this is how we really make change in the world, is by kind of finding our own communities and finding our own tribes and forming friendships and relationships along the way to perform counter economics and counterculture, and to make sure that a little bit of that flame of liberty gets carried on through into the future. I mean, they're trying to snuff it out. And you know what happens when you're around people that want their flame, their light to be the brightest? They kind of have to go and they kind of have to blow out everybody else's candle so theirs looks brighter. Well, I say, fuck that. I say, you know what? You can't do that. My candle is one of those trick ones that you blow out and it lights itself back up. And like that's what we're doing over at Voluntaryist Academy, is making sure that people have the mental fortitude to keep going, and to be able to not be just churned under, and just that's what I'm all about. That's what I want to make sure happens. And so like you can do that all over at my website, voluntarystacademy.com.
Sounds great, man. That sounds great. That's a good idea. And you've got you talk on the town halls and stuff. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
no.
I guess I shouldn't have mentioned it. But I mean, you talk to people a lot, like people from all over, and and they, you're very good with staying with the principles of keeping the principles in check, because a lot of emotional stuff brings people everywhere, and
yeah.
You're pretty good at that.
I'm an emotional guy, but I try to be, I try to be a little more stoic.
Yeah.
When helping others, it's easier.
Yeah, right.
To follow. Yeah, it's easier to give advice than follow your own advice.
That's true.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it's good. But you're a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea to have a community, and that'd be.
Oh man, I mean, I like through COVID and everything like that, where the people know me. They've heard my story before. Having these ideas and having been like a disobedient kid, and having grown up in like the skate punk culture, and kind of being like just a disobedient kid just from the rip, and never really finding my place, and always feeling like something wasn't right, and like, why should I listen to all these adults? Like I don't understand this kind of stuff, and feeling pressured into doing things and conforming and not wanting to, but I just want to have a place, and I don't know where that place is. And COVID happens. Yeah. And I'm like, finally, after COVID comes around and everything like that, like Yeah, I was an anarchist a long time before I really, could come out and say that I was an anarchist. Like the principles of natural law, like these are things that I was adhering to in different ways, shapes, and forms for decades. And so when COVID came around and I started saying no, and I started pointing the finger outward at authority and saying they're wrong, it created a lot of animosity between myself and people that I cared about and a lot of ostracization happened as a result, and I became very lonely. And it occurred to me that that it was time for kind of a shift. Like I needed to accept where life was taking me, and I needed to just understand that sometimes the river, you don't get to decide where the river is going. You just have to be able to pilot the ship, and go with the flow. And so
Right.
this
Just be
is
the
kind
best
of
you wherever you are in that river.
yeah, yeah. And so like this is kind of the this is kind of like the birthplace of Voluntaryist Academy. Was like, I want to help people learn. I also want to learn along the way. Be the teacher, be the student. You can do those things simultaneously. And you can also be the person that's willing to stand up and say, I've been lonely. You don't have to be. We don't have to be. We can find each other, and we can do something about this weird feeling of loneliness. I just reserve the right to focus on the material that I'm presenting and not have it be like, about conspiracy theories are fun to talk about. However, it's not what I focus on.
Sure.
And it's like, it's a conspiracy fact that there's this group of people conspiring to enslave us and to rob us and to plunder from us. And so it's to me like that's my focus, and that's what I want to that's what I want to put out into the world, and I hope people will join me. And all of my content, my podcast, there will never be a paywall, ever. Ever. Yeah. I don't believe in that. I in fact, some of the things I'm doing are damn near copyright infringement. So like I can't really even...
I just had to change my intro too for Wake the Dead.
Yeah.
Spotify didn't like the song because I was doing copyright infringement.
So like I can't even, I can't even toy with the idea of that. But the community aspect of it, but it takes, in order to keep everything going, to support the infrastructure of the operation is something I can't do alone. I have a family.
Right.
I have children. I have a wife. We're doing all of the things that we need to be doing. And this is a labor of love, but every now and then I need a little bit of help.
Yeah. Yeah, I could use a donation too, everybody. I've got kids to feed, one kid, but still, like, we all need the help. And same thing with Wake the Dead, man. I do so many episodes, like trying to keep up with William and Hans. Jesus, dude, they're like, it's like every Monday we're like going
right.
And so and you got to edit and you got to post it and you got to like be there to do and be in front of the computer. Like it takes a lot of your life, but really it like you said, labor of love. Like it's like inside you, like I have to, if I didn't have this outlet, what else would I do? I'd have to make art or something, do something. Cause cause you got to be yourself and you got to have your voice. So it's good to have people's voices talk to each other. That'd be cool. I think that's a good idea. So maybe my listeners could go over there and click and see what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, and me, like, I like to, I think everybody could understand why I might ask for a few dollars. But in case you don't, And if you don't understand why, $3 or $5 a month, is needed for you to join my community of people, well, this is a buffer to keep the rabble out. And $5 is not a lot of money, and there's a lot of rabble out there that would pay $5 just to come in and stir things up for a minute. But it is just an attempt.
It's not Facebook. It'll be okay. Not so much rabble.
But I mean, it is an attempt to create a buffer, and it is the service that I provide.
Yeah.
And so it's my time, it's my energy, and it's my focus.
Right.
And you know what? Like, I put a lot of time and energy into this. So yeah, it's just my offer.
That's great. That's great.
For now.
Well, thank you for your time. And I guess I will be saying good night, and because I just got home from work, and then I sat down, and so I've got to go and get some food. And it's great talking to you, James. I look forward to seeing this posted. I will post it myself on my own channel so that all of our listeners can be part of this collaboration of voluntarist parenting in the New World Order. I look forward to the next one. I'm sure we will have a wonderful topic for discussion.
I'm sure we will. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, as I always like to tell people, and it's evolved. So not only is taxation theft, it's not really accurate. Taxation is slavery. And, well, God damn it, you own yourself. So, period. And we got to start acting like it. I love you all. Thank you very much. Peace.